Yo, what is up guys, Delboy here, aka Blue Collar Sports TV. Hopefully you guys are all doing well. If you're new here, smash that like, hit subscribe, all of that good stuff. So, some interesting news coming out of the super lightweight division. Of course, until most recently, Josh Taylor was the undisputed champion in the weight class. However, technically now that is not true. The WBA stripped Josh Taylor of their title due to not entering negotiations with mandatory challenger Alberto Puello. Now, since Josh Taylor vacated that title, I was under the impression, or I had the belief, that Josh Taylor would basically follow suit and vacate everything and go to 147. However, it appears that is not the case. According to an article on Boxing Scene, Josh Taylor versus Jose Zepeda is being worked on right now, and that is straight from the horse's mouth. That actually comes from Top Rank Vice President Todd DeBuff. In fact, he spoke to Sky Sports and said the following: Zepeda is coming off a Fight of the Year win against Ivan Baranchyk and a first round KO win of Josue Vargas in October. These together have earned him the mandatory position to Josh's WBC crown. We're working with both teams to put this fight on next. WBC President Maurizio Sulaiman has actually confirmed that they have ordered that fight. In fact, there is a purse bid currently set for the 24th of May. In fact, Maurizio Sulaiman weighed in on Josh Taylor being stripped of his WBA title, and he said the following: "The issue here is we had an agreement. We met in Puerto Rico, the four presidents, Paco Valcarcel, Daryl Peoples and Gilberto Mendoza and myself, and we had an agreement. We sat down and we discussed that division, and I was clear that Jack Catterall as WBO mandatory was next, then Zepeda as WBC mandatory was next, and then the IBF mandatory was next. For some strange reason, the WBA simply went out and ordered another fight, and now they have taken away the title from Josh, or Josh relinquished, whatever it may be, but it's very unfortunate. We want to keep the mandatory unified champions. We want to have mandatory contenders that are of the highest level, but we will see what happens next." Those are the words of Maurizio Sulaiman. Make of that what you will. However, I am slightly surprised that Josh Taylor appears to be staying at 140 pounds. I get it that at 147 right now, there's not exactly many options, quite frankly, with most guys being on the PBC, Terence Crawford leaving Top Rank. I get that there are not many options for Josh Taylor at 147. However, considering how big Josh Taylor is, considering how bad he looked in that last fight, how bad he looked on the scales against Jack Catterall, I just wondered whether this point in time was the right time for Josh Taylor to move up. However, it appears that is not the case, and quite frankly, the WBC Mando is next in Jose Zepeda, and that is a really, really good fight. Jose Zepeda is a very experienced guy, southpaw of course, really good counterpuncher, hits hard, he's awkward, he's tricky, he's sneaky, very hard fight. Of course, in his previous fight against his WBO Mando, Jack Catterall, Josh Taylor struggled mightily in that fight, and on my card he lost. I felt he got beat to the punch for the most part, he got dropped, he got hurt, and yeah, I just felt Jack Catterall won an ugly fight. And given how Josh Taylor struggled in that fight, and given how badly he looked, I think Zepeda is a damn hard fight. Zepeda is very experienced, he's a tricky counterpuncher, much like Jack Catterall, he is southpaw. He's got underrated punching power. He actually does a lot of what Jack Catterall does well, but I think he does them better. He's more explosive than Jack Catterall. I think he's got more variety to his game in comparison to Jack Catterall. Zepeda can box coming forwards, he can box on the back foot, looking for that counter, he can mix it up on the inside. Given how badly he struggled against Jack Catterall, I think Zepeda, going into a Zepeda fight, I think it's a hard fight. This has banana skin written all over it, in my opinion. I'm not making a prediction right now, but if this fight happens next, I will be more than satisfied. Don't get me wrong, I would love to see a rematch between Jack Catterall and Josh Taylor. I think Josh Taylor needs to right that wrong, quite frankly. However, if this fight happens next, so be it. I'll be more than happy with it. I think Zepeda is a formidable challenger for Josh Taylor. Very dangerous fight. And it's a fight in which I am very interested in. You know, if Josh Taylor's going to stay at 140, I mean, he's got options, you know. The likes of Zepeda, really, really good contender, deserves a title shot, in my opinion. You've got the likes of Subriel Matias, who I believe is highly ranked in the IBF. There's another guy right there. There are still great fights out there for Josh Taylor at 140, but Josh needs to be in great condition to challenge all of these guys and come out on top, because again, the way he looked in that Jack Catterall fight, you know, I think there was a whole host of issues going into that fight. I think many people, including Josh Taylor, underrated Jack Catterall. That was one issue. But more importantly, for me at least, I felt that Josh Taylor looked awful on the scales. He looked like Skeletor. So I wonder whether Josh Taylor is now depleted at 140. And if that is the case, Jose Zepeda is a damn hard fight for him, as well as the likes of Matias, etc. So yeah, man, I mean, I quite like this news, actually. I wasn't expecting this. So yeah, I mean, you know, the WBC get their criticisms, but they've ordered a really good Mando here. Really good Mando. Hope the fight happens. Share your thoughts below. It's been your guy, Delboy. Peace.